If you have ever apologized for being too sensitive, if you have ever been told someone is just trying to help you, if you have ever heard the phrase, "After everything I have done for you," you are being psychologically dismantled. I know because I am the one who does it, and I am about to show you the exact playbook so you can stop it before it is too late. Let me show you how this works. I met Sarah at a networking event. She was standing alone near the bar, scrolling through her phone with that specific kind of body language that screamed loneliness, dressed up as independence. I gave her 4 minutes. That is the perfect amount of time, long enough for her to notice me, but not long enough to seem calculated. I walked up and said something harmless about the event being boring and asked if she knew anyone there. She did not. Within 3 minutes, she told me she had just moved to the city for a job promotion. Within 10 minutes, she told me about her controlling ex-boyfriend and her complicated relationship with her mother. Within 20 minutes, I knew exactly who she was. She was someone who had been taught that being good meant being accommodating. Someone who kept score of her own generosity and felt bitter when nobody noticed. Someone who wanted desperately to be seen but had no idea how to ask for it directly. Perfect. I did not come on strong. That would have been stupid. I asked for her number. I texted her 3 days later. I took my time. I made her wonder if I was interested, made her work for my attention just enough that when I finally gave it, it felt earned. Our first date lasted 6 hours. I asked questions. I listened. I mirrored everything she gave me. When she talked about loving jazz, I suddenly remembered how much I loved jazz. When she mentioned she was vegetarian, I told her I had been thinking about cutting back on meat. When she said she valued honesty above everything, I looked her in the eyes and said, "Me too. I'm so tired of people who play games." She believed me. They always do. By the third date, she was hooked. I could feel it. She texted me first. She laughed at jokes that were not funny. She started sentences with "we" instead of "I." She was building a future in her head, and I had not even had to ask her to. That is when I ran the first test. We were at her apartment. She had cooked dinner, which I knew she would because she was the kind of person who showed love through service. I'd mentioned casually 2 days earlier that I had a rough week, and she took that as an invitation to take care of me. Halfway through the meal, I made a comment about her cooking. Nothing harsh, just a small observation. I said, "You know, this is good, but I think you oversalted it a little. My mom makes this dish, and she always says the key is to underseason and let people add their own salt." I watched her face, that micro-expression, that tiny flinch. She had worked for 2 hours on this meal. She had been excited to impress me, and I had just told her it was not quite right. She opened her mouth. For half a second, I thought she might push back. I thought she might say, "Actually, I think it tastes fine," or "I like it this way." If she had said that, I would have laughed, apologized, and told her she was absolutely right. I would have recalibrated, found a different approach. But she did not say that. She said, "Oh, I am sorry. I will fix it next time." I felt it then, that little rush. Not because I wanted to hurt her, I did not care enough about her to want to hurt her, but because I knew she would apologize for things that were not her fault. I knew she would take responsibility for my discomfort. I knew that her instinct, when challenged, was to fold. I smiled. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. I said, "You are too sensitive. I was not criticizing you. I was just making an observation. You do not have to take everything so personally." And there it was. The first phrase. The first test. She blinked. I could see the confusion moving across her face. She was trying to reconcile two incompatible realities. The reality where I had just criticized her cooking, and the reality where I was now telling her she was overreacting to something that had not happened. She wanted to argue. I could see it, but she did not. Instead, she said, "No, you are right. I do that sometimes. I'm sorry." She apologized for being too sensitive to my comment about her being too sensitive. That is when I knew I could say anything. I could rewrite any interaction, deny any reality, and she would bend herself into impossible shapes, trying to make my version true. I could tell her the sky was green, and she would start questioning her own eyesight before she questioned me. That phrase, "You are too sensitive," is perfect, because it does not just invalidate what you are feeling. It makes you a problem. It takes whatever I did or said, whatever harm I caused, and turns it into a referendum on your emotional stability. It makes you responsible for managing my behavior by managing your own reactions. And once you accept that, once you apologize for feeling hurt, I own you. 3 months in, I moved to the second test. By this point, Sarah had rearranged her entire life around me. She invited me to move in, and I said yes because her apartment was nicer than mine. She introduced me to her friends, and I made sure to be charming, made sure they all told her how lucky she was. She talked about me at work. She posted photos of us together. She was building the story of us, and I just had to show up. That is when I started offering advice. I did not do it all at once. I started small. I mentioned that her friend Jessica seemed negative. I said it casually, like an observation, not an accusation. I do not know. Every time we hang out with her, I feel drained. Does she always complain that much? Sarah defended Jessica at first. She is just going through a hard time right now. I nodded. I did not push. I waited 2 weeks and then I brought it up again. I just think you are such a positive person, and Jessica seems to bring you down. I hate seeing you stressed after you spend time with her. I'm just trying to help you see that. That phrase. I'm just trying to help you. I watched her. She hesitated. I could see the wheels turning. She loved Jessica. They had been friends for 8 years. But she also loved me. And I was framing this as care, as protection, as me looking out for her well-being. She stopped seeing Jessica as much. She did not cut her off completely, not yet, but she created distance. And every time Jessica reached out, Sarah felt guilty. Not guilty toward Jessica, guilty toward me for not listening to my advice sooner. That is the genius of that phrase. It is unassailable. How do you argue with someone who says they are trying to help? If you push back, you look defensive, ungrateful, like you do not appreciate the person who loves you enough to tell you hard truths. But what I am really saying is not, I am trying to help you. What I am really saying is, I am trying to control you. I am trying to isolate you from people who see me clearly. I am trying to make you dependent on my perspective, my approval, my version of reality. I did this with her job too. She was up for a promotion. She was excited, nervous. She asked me what I thought, and I said, I think you should really consider if this is what you want. I mean, you already work so much. Do you really want more responsibility? I just do not want to see you burn out. I'm just trying to help you think this through. She turned down the promotion. When her boss asked why, she said she wanted to focus on work-life balance. But the truth was simpler. She wanted to focus on me. She wanted to prove to me that she was not a workaholic, that she valued the relationship, that she was listening to my help. I had successfully convinced her that my opinions about her life were more valid than her own instincts. And she thanked me for it. 1 year in, I took the third test. She was starting to wake up. I could feel it. She was not saying it out loud yet, but I could see the tiny signs. She stopped texting me as much. She made plans with friends without asking if I wanted to come. She went to the gym alone, small acts of independence that, to a normal person, would mean nothing. But to me, they were sirens. She was pulling away. We were at a restaurant. She had been quiet all night. Finally, she said, I think I need some space, not a breakup. I just need to figure some things out. I feel like I have lost myself. I let her finish. I did not interrupt. I did not get angry. I just looked at her. And then very quietly, very calmly, I said, after everything I have done for you. I watched her face change. I watched the guilt flood in. I did not yell. I did not list everything. I did not need to. Because she knew. She knew I had helped her move. I knew I had supported her when her dad was sick. I knew I had listened to her cry about work, about her family, about her insecurities for hours. I had invested time, energy, and attention. And now she wanted to leave? That phrase, after everything I have done for you, is a weapon. It reframes the entire relationship as a transaction. It turns every act of love into a debt. It says, you owe me. It says, you are selfish. It says, how dare you prioritize yourself when I have sacrificed so much? She started crying. She said, you are right. I'm so sorry. I do not know what I was thinking. You have been so good to me. She did not need space. She needed to be grateful. And just like that, she was back. That phrase works because it preys on something fundamental. People want to be good. They want to believe they are fair, that they honor their debts, that they do not take people for granted. So when you frame the relationship as a ledger, when you position their autonomy as ingratitude, they fold. They apologize. They stay. And I won. You want to know why this works so well? Why do people stay even when they know something is wrong? It is because I do not do this all the time. If I were terrible constantly, you would leave. You would have to. But I am not. 90% of the time, I'm wonderful. I'm attentive. I'm funny. I remember the small things. I make you feel like you are the most fascinating person I have ever met. I create this version of us that feels magical, that feels rare, that feels worth fighting for. And then, every once in a while, I test you. I push. I see how far you will bend. And when you bend, when you apologize, when you take responsibility for my behavior, I reward you. I go back to being wonderful. I give you just enough warmth to make you forget the cold. This is how slot machines work. You do not win every time, but you win just enough to keep pulling the lever. You stay because you remember the highs. You stay because you think if you just do a little better, if you just try a little harder, you can get back to the beginning, back to when I made you feel chosen. But you cannot get back there, because that version of me never existed. It was a character I played to hook you. And now that you are hooked, I do not need to play it anymore. I can just be myself. And myself is this. Here is what I will never tell you, what I will never admit, even to myself most days. I am terrified of you leaving. I know that sounds absurd. I just spent 30 minutes explaining how I control you, how I test you, how I keep you exactly where I need you. But underneath all of that control, underneath all of that confidence, there is this constant gnawing terror that one day you are going to wake up, you are going to see me, the real me, and you are going to leave. That is why I test you, not because I am secure, because I am not. Every single test is me asking the same question, over and over. Are you going to stay? Are you going to stay even when I hurt you? Are you going to stay even when I do not deserve it? Because I know I do not deserve it. I know that. But I also know that I cannot survive without you. Not because I love you. I do not think I have ever loved anyone. But because you make me feel like I exist. You make me feel like I matter. And if you leave, I go back to being nothing. So I break you down, little by little, piece by piece. I make you so small, so confused, so grateful for the scraps I throw you that the idea of leaving becomes impossible. I make you doubt yourself so deeply that you cannot trust your own perceptions. I make you believe that I am the only one who truly knows you, who truly sees you, who truly cares. And it works. It works so well. Until it does not. Because some people wake up. Not most, but some. And when they do, when they finally see the pattern, when they finally understand that the problem is not them, that it has never been them, they leave. And there is nothing I can do to stop it. That is the thing that destroys me. Not anger, not confrontation, not even disgust. The thing that breaks me is indifference. It is when you stop caring, when you stop trying to fix me, to understand me, to earn my love, when you just go. Because once you stop caring, I have no power. I can say, you are too sensitive. But if you do not believe me, it does not work. I can say, I am just trying to help you. But if you do not want my help, I am irrelevant. I can say, after everything I have done for you, but if you have finally accepted that I did those things for me, not for you, then I have nothing. And that is my nightmare, that you will finally realize you do not need me, that you never did. Now let me stop. Let me break this completely. Because if someone in your life is using these 3 phrases on you, you need to understand exactly what is happening. This is not love, this is not care, this is control, disguised as concern. And you need to know how to dismantle it. When someone says, you are too sensitive, they are gaslighting you. They are trying to make you doubt your own emotional reality. They want you to believe that your feelings are the problem, not their behavior. This phrase is designed to shift responsibility from them to you, to make you manage their cruelty by suppressing your reactions. The counter move is to refuse the premise entirely. Do not defend your sensitivity. Do not explain why you are not overreacting. Just say, I disagree. That is it. 2 words, no explanation, no justification, just a flat refusal to accept their framing. If they push, and they will push, you say, this conversation is over, and you walk away. You hang up, you stop responding, you disengage completely. This will enrage them. Because you have just refused to play the game, you have refused to let them rewrite reality. And that refusal is the one thing they cannot tolerate. When someone says, I am just trying to help you, Ask yourself a single question. Did I ask for this help? If the answer is no, then what they are offering is not helping. It is control dressed up as care. The countermove is to name it. You say, I did not ask for your advice. You say it calmly. You say it once. You do not soften it with an apology or a justification. You just state the fact. If they respond with, wow, I guess I will never share my opinion again, you say, okay. You do not chase them. You do not reassure them. You let them sit with the discomfort of your boundary. Because here is what they are counting on. They are counting on the fact that you have been trained your whole life to smooth things over, to make other people comfortable, to avoid conflict. But the only way to handle a narcissist is to stop managing their emotions. You do not have to be cruel. You just have to be firm. When someone says, after everything I have done for you, they are trying to turn love into debt. They are trying to make you believe that kindness is currency and that you owe them your autonomy in exchange for their care. The countermove is to recognize that real love does not keep score. People who genuinely care about you do not weaponize their generosity. They do not throw their kindness back in your face the second you assert a need. You say, I appreciate what you have done, but that does not mean I owe you my sense of self. Or more simply, I did not ask you to keep score. And then you leave. Maybe not physically. Maybe you cannot leave physically because of children, finances, and family. But you leave emotionally. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to make them understand. You accept that they will never see your perspective, because seeing your perspective would require them to take responsibility. And they will not do that. They cannot. Here is the secret they do not want you to know. The fatal weakness they spend every waking moment trying to hide. They need you more than you need them. They will never admit this. They will act like you are the needy one, like you are lucky to have them, like they are doing you a favor by staying. But the truth is that their entire sense of self depends on your reactions. If you stop reacting, they dissolve. They cease to exist in any meaningful way. That is why they test you. That is why they push. That is why they cannot let you go, even when the relationship is clearly over. Because without you, they have to face themselves. And that is the one thing they will never, ever do. So the solution is not to fight them. The solution is not to explain to them why they are wrong or harmful or manipulative. The solution is to become completely uninteresting. You become a gray rock, flat, boring, unresponsive. When they say, you are too sensitive, you say, maybe, and you change the subject. When they say, I am just trying to help you, you say, thanks, and you do not change a single thing about yourself. When they say, after everything I have done for you, you say, I understand you feel that way, and you walk out of the room. You do not engage, you do not defend, you do not explain. You just stop feeding them. And eventually, not immediately, but eventually, they will move on. They will find someone else who still believes the lie. Someone who still thinks they can earn love through perfect behavior. Someone who has not yet learned that the game is rigged. But you are done. You are free. If you are hearing this and recognizing these patterns in your own life, I need you to understand something. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. You are not ungrateful. You are not the problem. You are being manipulated. And the fact that you are questioning yourself, the fact that you are wondering if maybe you are the one who is wrong, is proof that the manipulation is working. But it does not have to keep working. You can choose right now to trust yourself, to believe your own experience, to stop waiting for them to validate your reality, because they never will. They cannot. Validating your reality would mean admitting their own bad behavior, and their entire identity is built on avoiding that admission. You can choose to fail their tests, on purpose, with intention, with absolute clarity. And when you do, you will discover something they have been trying to hide from you this entire time. You do not need them. You never did. You just needed permission to believe in yourself. And I am giving you that permission right now. Walk away. Set the boundary. Stop explaining. Stop defending. Stop trying to make them understand. Just go. Because on the other side of that door is a version of your life where you do not have to pass tests to earn basic respect, where you do not have to shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable, where you do not have to question your own sanity just to maintain a relationship. That life is waiting for you. And it has been waiting this whole time. All you have to do is choose it. So here's what I want you to do. If this video helped you see something clearly for the first time, if it gave you language for something you have been feeling but could not name, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for you. Because you deserve to keep learning how to protect yourself. You deserve to understand the games people play so you can stop playing them. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who is stuck in a relationship where they are constantly questioning themselves, share this with them. Sometimes we cannot see our own situation clearly, but we can see it in someone else's story. Most importantly, take one action today. Just one. Set one boundary. Say no to one thing you would normally say yes to out of guilt. Stop explaining yourself to one person who has never truly listened. Start small. Start now. Because every boundary you set, every test you refuse to take, every moment you choose yourself, that is you taking your power back. You have got this, and I will be here, making more videos like this, giving you the tools you need to see clearly, to stand firm, to walk away when you need to. Thanks for reading. Now, go be free.